Picture this, a quiet terrace street in 1970s Britain, the soft rattle of the milk float outside, and the warm hum of a wood-burning fire inside. The telly flickers with just 3 channels, and the faint smell of Sunday roast still lingers from lunchtime. You nip down to Woolies with a pocketful of change, or pop into the red phone box to ring a mate. Life felt slower, simpler, yet full of small treasures that made every day special. Do you remember licking Green Shield stamps, queuing for the Saturday cinema club, or hearing the ice cream van jingle echo down the street? These weren't just moments. They were the backdrop to growing up in a Britain we'll never see again. Today, we're reliving 10 unforgettable memories from 70s UK, and I bet more than a few will make you smile, sigh, and say, I remember that. Number 10. Green Shield stamps. Back in the 1970s, before supermarket loyalty cards, many British homes proudly collected Green Shield stamps. These tiny green rectangles were handed out at petrol stations, corner shops, and even some department stores. Each one was a little promise, a step closer to a new toaster, a shiny kettle, or even a piece of furniture. The booklets themselves were kept safe, often in that kitchen drawer full of rubber bands, spare keys, and mystery screws. Families would sit at the table, licking stamps and pressing them into neat rows, the glue sticking to your fingers. It was a slow but strangely satisfying process. Kids loved helping, secretly hoping Mum would redeem them for something exciting, like a new radio or a colorful tea set. And every filled page felt like a small victory. Eventually, those booklets were swapped at the Green Shield stamp catalog shop, a treasure trove of goods displayed under bright fluorescent lights. Walking in felt like entering a secret club where loyalty was rewarded in kettles and clocks. Today, the stamps have vanished, but the memory of trading perseverance for prizes still warms the hearts of those who grew up in a thriftier, more patient Britain. Number 9. Saturday morning cinema clubs. For many kids in 70s Britain, Saturday mornings meant one thing: the cinema club. Local Odeon, ABC, or independent picture houses would throw open their doors to crowds of excited children, each clutching a few coins for entry. The smell of popcorn and sherbet lemons filled the air as chatter bounced off the walls. The floors were always a bit sticky, but nobody cared. It was all part of the magic. The shows often began with a lively sing-along, followed by short films, cartoons, and sometimes a black and white Flash Gordon or Laurel and Hardy reel. You'd sit shoulder to shoulder with friends, sharing sweets from a crumpled paper bag. Every laugh, gasp, and cheer seemed louder when a whole theater of kids experienced it together. Parents loved the clubs because it gave them a couple of hours of peace and quiet, while children loved them because it was pure freedom. Leaving the cinema, you'd blink at the daylight, still buzzing from the adventure you'd just seen on screen. For many, those Saturday mornings were the highlight of the week, a time when community, cinema magic, and childhood excitement met in one unforgettable tradition. Number 8. Smash Instant Mash ads. In the 1970s, television adverts were as memorable as the programs themselves, and none stuck in the mind quite like the Smash Instant Mash commercials. They featured a group of metallic robot aliens with round heads and mechanical arms, laughing hysterically at the idea of humans peeling potatoes. Their chuckles became iconic, a sound you could mimic perfectly in the school playground. The adverts were colorful, cheeky, and impossible to forget. You'd hear the jingle, "For mash, get smash," and instantly picture those shiny robots shaking with laughter. Many families, curious after seeing the ads, gave Smash a try, and its quick, powdery convenience felt almost futuristic compared to the boiling and mashing routine. It wasn't just food, it was part of the new, modern Britain moving away from the slower kitchen habits of the past. Even now, decades later, mention Smash to anyone who grew up in the era and you'll see their face light up with recognition. Those adverts didn't just sell a product. They became a shared joke, a slice of British pop culture that turned a humble instant mash into something truly legendary in the nation's memory. Number 7. Tupperware parties. In 70s Britain, the words Tupperware party meant more than plastic containers. They meant an evening of neighborly gossip, homemade cakes, and a living room temporarily turned into a showroom. Your mum, or perhaps the lady from down the road, would lay out colorful Tupperware bowls, jugs, and storage tubs in shades like avocado green and harvest gold. Everything was neatly arranged on the coffee table, ready to be admired. These gatherings were part social event, part sales pitch. Women would swap recipes, share tips for keeping lettuce crisp, and marvel at the airtight burp when the lids were sealed. There was often a raffle, a catalogue to flick through, and that irresistible temptation to order just one more piece for the kitchen cupboard. For many, it was a rare evening of adult company and laughter. Children, half listening from the hallway, would peek at the shiny plasticware and hope for leftover sponge cake once the guests had gone. The products themselves lasted for decades, many still do, but the memory of laughter-filled living rooms, warm tea, and the pride of owning the latest kitchen gadget is what truly lingers from those Tupperware nights. Number 6. Decimal Day Confusion. In February 1971, Britain officially said goodbye to pounds, shillings, and pence, and welcomed the new decimal currency. For weeks, shop counters buzzed with puzzled conversations as people clutched their change, trying to make sense of the unfamiliar coins. The shiny new 5p and 10p pieces looked suspiciously like shillings and florins, but prices suddenly appeared in strange numbers, leaving many muttering, "How much is that in old money?" Shops displayed bright conversion charts beside tills, and banks handed out tiny booklets explaining the system. Schoolchildren often caught on quicker than their parents, proudly helping mum work out the right coins at the greengrocers. For older generations, though, it felt like a cultural upheaval, one more sign that the Britain they'd grown up in was changing. Despite the confusion, life adapted quickly. The coins became familiar, the charts disappeared, and the old currency quietly faded into memory. Yet for those who lived through it, the smell of new coins, the crisp paper notes, and that first slightly bewildered trip to Woolworths remain a vivid reminder of a moment when the nation quite literally changed its money overnight. Number 5. School milk and free fruit. For many children in 70s Britain, the day began with a small glass bottle of school milk waiting in the classroom. Delivered early each morning, the bottles sat by the radiator until break time, the foil tops warm to the touch. You'd pierce the lid with a thin paper straw, sometimes nicking the creamy top layer before taking a sip. It wasn't everyone's favorite, but it was a daily ritual that felt as much a part of school as the blackboard. Alongside the milk, some schools offered free fruit, often an apple or orange, sometimes slightly bruised but always welcome. Teachers encouraged everyone to finish their portion, reminding us it was good for growing bones. The clink of empty bottles being gathered into crates signaled the end of break, a sound now long gone from playgrounds. These small gestures were more than nutrition. They were part of a broader sense that schools and communities looked after their children. Today, just the sight of a miniature glass milk bottle can transport former pupils back to a time of chalk dust, playground games, and that unmistakable taste of milk warmed by a classroom radiator. Number 4. Woolworths Pick and Mix. Stepping into Woolworths in the 70s meant walking straight into a treasure trove of sweets. The pick and mix counter was a dazzling wall of color, jars and bins brimming with pink shrimps, cola bottles, pear drops, and chewy fruit salads. The sweet, sugary smell hit you before you even saw it, pulling you in like a magnet. Armed with a striped paper bag and a little metal scoop, you could create your own dream selection. There was an unspoken art to it, getting as many favorites in without making the bag too heavy, because mum would definitely notice at the till. Sometimes you'd sneak in 1 or 2 sweets before paying, a harmless bit of childhood cheek that felt like the height of rebellion. For many, a trip to Woolies was the highlight of a Saturday outing. Whether it was a reward for good behavior or just part of the weekly shop, that bag of sweets was pure happiness. Even now, the memory of those brightly lit counters, the rustle of paper bags, and the thrill of choosing your own mix remains one of the most vivid flavors of 70s childhood. Number 3. Public payphones. In 70s Britain, before mobile phones, the red public phone box was a lifeline. Standing proudly on street corners, its smell of metal, dust, and cigarette smoke was instantly recognizable. Inside, the heavy door would close with a solid thud, shutting out the world as you reached for the black receiver. Calls were fed by a clink of 2p coins, each one buying just a precious few minutes. People used them for everything, phoning home to say you'd missed the bus, calling a friend to arrange a meet-up, or leaving a message for work. Sometimes you'd queue outside, shuffling impatiently as the person inside chatted away. Rain would bead on the glass panels, distorting the glow of the streetlight outside. They weren't always comfortable, drafty in winter, stifling in summer, but they were part of the rhythm of everyday life. Today, most have vanished or been turned into quirky libraries or art pieces, yet the memory remains. That distinctive ring, the satisfying slam of the receiver, and the nervous hope that you had just enough change still transport many back to a slower, more connected Britain. Number 2. The ice cream van jingle. On warm afternoons in 70s Britain, the distant chime of an ice cream van was pure magic. You'd freeze mid-game, ears pricked, waiting to catch which tune was drifting through the streets, often Greensleeves or Oh Soul Mayo. That sound meant a race to the kitchen for loose change, usually kept in a jam jar on the sideboard. The vans themselves were rolling wonderlands, bright paintwork, hand-painted menus, and the soft hum of the freezers inside. Choices seemed endless. Mr. Whippy cones crowned with a chocolate flake, colorful screwballs with bubblegum at the bottom, or icy fab lollies glittering with sprinkles. The smell of sweet wafers mixed with the chill of the ice cream made the wait in line part of the experience. Parents might groan at the cost, but for children, it was a treasured ritual. Neighbors would gather, kids compared treats, and the van would pull away, leaving behind happy faces and sticky fingers. Even today, a faint jingle on the breeze can instantly take people back to those golden evenings when summer felt endless and happiness came wrapped in a wafer cone. Number 1. Sunday roast rituals. In 70s Britain, Sunday afternoons carried the comforting rhythm of the family roast. The kitchen filled with the smell of roasting beef or lamb, mingling with sizzling Yorkshire puddings and vegetables bubbling on the hob. Mum moved between oven and table with quiet precision, while Dad sharpened the carving knife, a familiar sound that signaled dinner was almost ready. Everyone gathered around the table. No telly, no distractions, just the clink of cutlery and the hum of conversation. The gravy boat made its slow journey round, roast potatoes were crisp and golden, and there was always a debate about who got the end slice of meat. Outside, church bells or the theme to songs of praise might drift in through the window, adding to the cozy sense of tradition. It wasn't just a meal, it was a weekly anchor. Families laughed, argued, and shared news across the table. Even the washing up afterward, stacks of plates drying on the rack, felt part of the ritual. Today, the memory of those roasts, hearty, unhurried, and shared, is a reminder of a Britain where Sunday meant family, and the warmth of home lingered long after the plates were cleared. Those 10 memories weren't just things we did, they were the heartbeat of everyday life in 70s Britain. From the clink of glass milk bottles at school to the laughter of smash robots on telly, each one carried the warmth of a time when the world felt closer, neighbors knew your name, and joy was found in the smallest of routines. These moments stitched together the fabric of our childhood: Sunday roasts, ice cream vans, Woolworths trips, and they still live on in our hearts, even if the sights, sounds, and smells have faded from our streets. Whether you grew up with these memories or have only heard them in family stories, they're part of a shared heritage worth holding on to. And sometimes, just hearing them again is enough to make the years melt away and remind us of home. Which of these memories is your favorite, and which did we miss? Share your stories below. We read and cherish every single one. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, watch our last video for even more nostalgia, and please support us by subscribing. It's just one click, but it means the world to us.